How many times have we seen this before? Another day and another doofus calling Hex out as a scam. This guy is CryptoWhack. We're going to call him CryptoWhack alongside a Bybit, who are calling out Hex as a scam. And we'll have a bit of fun with this. Nothing too serious. We don't take this stuff seriously, but let's see what they have to say. So he says, is Hex a scam? See for yourself what Bybit says about this project, and this is what they're saying. Potential red flags of Hex. While there are some compelling arguments that Hex is a good investment, there are also some arguments to be made that it's a scam. The Hex founder Richard Hart, whose real name is Richard J. Schuler, has allegedly participated in sending spam back in 2000. In fact, this fact alone has made many wary of the Hex project. So this incident is true, and it's been confirmed by Richard. This has nothing to do with Hex, really. It doesn't mean Hex is a scam. He did this, as you see, over 20 years ago, and it's hardly crime of the century. It's like a little, it's like a speeding fine or a parking fine. It's a small crime that took place back when spamming was probably just coming into fruition as a crime. Back then it was probably more about innovation. He probably saw an opportunity to send lots of emails and do a lot of marketing in a very easy manner by just one click, and you can send out lots and lots of emails to loads of people. And back then, when the first people were doing it, it wasn't even really a crime. I remember when people used to do it in the UK too, and then the laws came in and it became a crime, and I think he only got something like a $500 fine for this. So this is a really tiny kind of misdemeanor crime, so it's a nothing burger. So the second point is Richard Hart himself has admitted the project uses tactics that a scam might use, which includes referral bonuses, quick schemes, but goes on to insist that it's an honest and real project. Again, yeah, Richard has said you can use the mechanics of a scam but still be a completely legitimate product, which is absolutely correct. The mechanics doesn't mean anything. As long as the product works and it's legit, it's completely fine. Here's another one now. Hex has no use case. What crypto does have use cases? Very, very few cryptos have real great utility, and you don't need utility for it to be a good project. So he says, meaning it's not possible to use Hex coins for anything else other than pure speculation. In fact, the only purpose of Hex is for price gains, rather than providing blockchain services for the community. Nowadays, even more meme coins like Shiba Inu and Flocky are working towards giving their tokens utility to integrate, to emphasize the integrity of their projects. Well, these are really meme coins, so they don't really have any utility. They could do in the future. There's many of these around. These are just two. But Hex has game, it has this function of time lock, and this is you could call it proof of stamina or proof of weight. And in the real world, we have real products like this. In the UK, we have something called bonds, long-term saving products, which give you greater interest the longer you hold them. So you can have 1 year, 2 year, 5 year bonds. In the States, I think it's called a CD or a certificate of deposit. So Hex is similar to that on the blockchain. And I think for me personally, the penalty function is one of the things that makes Hex really great, because it does sort out, the wheat from the chaff, the men from the boys, and the people who have the stamina get the real gains in Hex. So the last point he says is Hex, this is Bybit's point. Hex's staking mechanism reads like a Ponzi scheme in which investors are reluctant to cash out due to promises of long-term high yields alongside penalties. Again, this is another load of BS, really, because RH has talked about why Hex is not a Ponzi or a pyramid scheme. It's not a pyramid because there's no levels. It's just you and the contract. So there's no levels, and it's not a Ponzi because the money that comes in doesn't go to anyone else. From the new investors, they have to either stake it or hold it as liquid, and Hex inflates due to people who do stake and get the new coins from the inflation. So it's not a Ponzi either. So these are his points there, which are just the same old stuff that's coming out, and that's from Bybit, but he's posted it as well. And then he's posted this. I'm not going to go through this. This is basically a conversation with Richard Hart and Eric Wall, and he highlights this to kind of show two things, which is the OA address and this other part, which he calls the flush address, which is where the penalties go. So, as you know, when people unstake early, they EES, emergency unstake, and then the penalties come in and they go to this address, and then it gets split, I think, 50-50 with the OA and all the other stakers. So he's complaining about this, and he says if Hart does control all the assets of the Origin and Flush and other HEX wallets, then Hart could control up to 88% of HEX's total supply. Again, for me, this is not an issue unless the intentions of the OA are not good. But as we've seen so far in the history, that the intentions of the OA seem to be pretty positive towards doing the right thing for the HEX community. And then he says, lastly, HEX is a difference. It's different because it's being sold as an investment, furnishing returns using banking terminology, and is heavily marketed out in the real world, attempting to draw people in who don't know what to look for when it comes to crypto scams. So again, that's more BS, because HEX is not a scam, and the ones that have been scams, has he talked about those? I don't know. I haven't gone through his feed. He's getting BitConnect and Lunar vibes. So what I do want to go through is some of the comments, because as you know, there's always a lot of Hexicans who are ready to defend these kind of nonsense posts, and we've got some really great comments here that have come out. We've got T-Bird here. Surely you're not that much of an idiot that you try to find a flawless crypto product in its second bull cycle and actually think your audience would fall for it. They're in panic mode. The train is leaving the station and they're desperate to stop it. Choo-choo. Yeah, so again, good defense there from T-Bird. It is a flawless product. There has been no bugs whatsoever, no hacks. It's working fine for in excess of 1,100 days now, 3 years. We've got Max here. There are a lot of better data sources to learn about HEX than a near boilerplate Bybit official article. Google HEX crypto or just watch some YouTube videos if you want to get a sense of why it has 320,000 wallets. There you go. That hold it. Another good response there. You may want to check out 2022 HEX Rewind. Richard tried to save a lot of people, but of course they didn't listen. Yep. So that's another good point there. Richard talks about all the failed projects that have been scams or just rubbish, incompetent products that have failed. So he needs to look at that. There's another picture of the graph here. Reply. So it's on its way back up. You know, there's been a lot of gains recently. What else have we got? Scamming people so they won't live in poverty. Okay, we're still doing this. Exeter Morgan, he's seen it all before. Funny guy gets 28 tweets, but all those prior to Celsius Voyager don't exist. So did this guy delete his tweets? I don't know. I've never followed this guy. I'm not going to follow him now. Speaking of guys to follow, this guy is very good. Robbie Davison, I like him. He's a really good guy to follow. Tell the world you're ignorant without saying you are. HEXnigma. Imagine calling yourself a professional analyst, then not analysing 3 years of flawless operation with 10,000 exploit using sexist info. Please, irony, loser attitude. HEX is truly fine. Yep. Good reply there. Let's trust the opinions of a site that would rather give up custody of all your coins. That went well for Celsius and FTX users. Yep. Another good reply there. So yeah, we've got to note that, you know, in this period there has not been one actual person who's come forward and been scammed. So what else have we got here? So a few more comments there. So this is a thread that if you want to take a look at, there's good replies, good defense of HEX by the Hexicans. So we've seen it all before. Here you go. I'll finish with this one here. Don't want this to drag on for too long, but this is on, I think, on Nomics. I've seen this before. You can put in a date when you want to start, and today's date, so he's put in the 12th, a few days after the launch. If you'd invested 1,000, it would now be worth 100,000, which is 100x, and that does not include staking on this figure. And if you look at all-time high, it's going to be a lot higher than that. We know it did the 10,000x. So there you go, another post about HEX being a scam, which is just complete BS.